and welcome to the 2026 AFL Fantasy Football Voter Guide. Today, sorry, I'm also trying to open documents here. Today, we're going to go over the topics of discussion for the Fantasy Football League meeting on March 21st. This year's meeting will be at 6 p.m. and we'll do our normal stuff, recap 2025, um, hand out awards, and then we'll go into 2026. We'll have our Hall of Fame vote for the owners, and of course, we'll also do our. Sorry, I'm just trying to look up a couple things here real quick, getting prepared to give you guys all the information. Um, Food hasn't fully been decided yet. I'm waiting to hear on who's all coming. So if you can, opportunity, please text me. If you are going to be in person, in house. B, if you're going to watch on stream. And then, or C, none of the above, which means you're not going to be able to watch it or attend in person. In those cases, I'll just contact you on the side and go over this stuff. And then if there's anything you need to ask or have me bring up. Um, if you're going to stream, I also need to know that because I try to set up reps for you. So, example, legendary Raymond Bailey is typically here, and he usually is Brady and Jordan's representative. So, believe he'll be here again this year for our meeting. We're hoping to have at least half the league in turnout. There's certain people I understand. I know Kyle's not going to be here, lives in Hawaii. Jordan won't be here. Brady, I know, won't be here. Rich and Megan, I get, are going to be probably coming down from the UP, although, of course, always welcome. Same with Liam. Of course, Liam and Brady and Kyle are proudly serving our country. And, of course, always thank you for your service. And thank you to all our men and women out there fighting to keep this country safe. So with that being said, uh, the league meeting, again, we'll just recap 2025, hand out the awards, and then we'll just get into 2026. I'll pass out the 2026 game schedule that's been made. And then we'll just go over the draft. Really not expecting any changes unless someone wants to see something change. The date will be announced for the draft as well. And then just go over any food options for the draft. Pretty much planning on doing the pulled pork as long as Tony's still good to make it. But then we could look at any other side options, or maybe someone says, "Hey, let's try something different this year." One thing I am thinking about for the league meeting is probably have like queso or buffalo chicken dip on the side, a few other side. I was thinking about just getting pizza this year, making it a little bit easier. And I said, all depends on how many people we got too. So we'll figure that out here in the next week or two. And I'll get with you guys on that once I know who's all coming. That's why I really need to know who's all coming so I know how much food we're going to need and all those types of things. So if you could please let me know that. We'll go over the draft order. Also, the up-to-date draft order will be passed out. We'll include all 2025, any trades that had happened. So that sheet's already been done. Then we'll do the Hall of Fame portion where everyone will get to decide on who they want as their 2026 owner going into the Hall of Fame. And then at the end we'll open up the trading. So you're all welcome to discuss trades with each other. Just nothing can be official until it is opened up for discussion or opened up to the lock on trading is taken off. So, and that happens at the end of the league meeting. So let's get right into it. So back in 2025, we made a vote. So I'm bringing this up as a reminder. We had a vote, which in the past has always been for any category that has you had to have 9 votes to pass. Um, and most of our stuff is either like a yes or no, or option A, option B. But every now and then we have an option A, B, and C. In those instances, we voted majority rule. So you didn't have to have 9 votes in a multiple option category. Uh, just had to have the majority. So I think there's only one this year like that, but we'll get into that. So let's start off. First topic of discussion. Some of this stuff is either from you or stuff I looked at to help improve the league. First item up for bid is best of the rest final results. That's how it's being categorized. So what this means is it would make it so if voted yes, each team their final regular season standings are what will determine their final standings in the season, regardless of best of the rest tournament. Example: you could finish in 14th place in the regular season, um, and win the best of the rest tournament, and you would still hold on to your third overall pick. Whereas right now, if you were that team and you won the best of the rest, then you would have the 8th pick. We'll double check that. Sorry, the 9th pick. You'd have the 9th overall pick. So um, this really gives more incentive to teams to definitely try to do their best for the best of the rest. It doesn't penalize you for doing well in it. Um, it's a simple yes or no vote on this one. I don't know how else to describe this one. Like I said, right now, like for example, Liam, he wasn't, he was kind of middle of the pack for the bottom teams, but because he won the best of the rest, he shot up to a little bit later pick, and that's how it's always been. So this would be going forward starting in 2027 draft, of course. Um, so that's the first item up for bid. Simple yes or no. Best of the rest tournament will not affect final standings for non-playoff teams. All right. Second item up for bid. This one was brought up by an individual. Um, so this is actually being called the Ritz rule. This would make it so when any team plays Nick Ritz, they must sit their quarterback to make it fair for Ritz, due to each team's quarterback having career days against his teams. This is a simple yes or no vote. Um, Nick came to me last year and said every team is having a career day against him with their quarterbacks, like quarterbacks that just aren't the greatest, just are having Dan Marino type days. So this would make it so if you play Nick Ritz, you can't play a quarterback that day. Simple yes or no vote. Yes, this is kind of a funny one. He actually asked me yesterday not to put it in there. I said people bring it up, I put it in. So um, that's the Ritz rule. Category number 3 is being titled as 8 on 8, and this is going to be more of a layered vote. This comes in parts. So the first part of this would be adding an extra D lineman, linebacker, and defensive back to your starting lineup. And the reason I say that is we call it 8 on 8 is currently you start 8 offensive players: quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, and a flex. Um, this would make it so it's an even 8 on 8. So that's a simple yes or no vote. If that one was to pass, so if we got a yes, so we say, okay, well, now we're going to start 2 D linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 defensive backs, and 2 flex defensive players. If that was to pass with a yes vote, then we would go to the second part. which is to decide the roster. And this would be simply, do we increase the roster or leave as is? Again, simple yes or no. Currently, the roster, we have it set at 23 slots. So if we want to go up, because now we're adding 3 players to our starting lineup, or just keep as is, again, simple yes or no. Third part is if it was to say let's increase. If we leave it as is, if we vote no and say leave it as is, then this whole category is done. If we vote yes to say let's add uh, players to our roster, then we have to determine how many we want to have. Again, currently at 23, so this is actually the 3 category. So the options are 24, 25, or 26. And then once that would be picked, whatever wins that rule, then we go to the final part of this category, which would be increasing the keepers, which is it's kind of a 2-part, I guess. A, do we increase the keepers or not, or leave as is? Remember, right now you have 10 of anything plus 3. The plus 3 we voted on a few years ago. That one is in the plus 3. It must have any combination of kicker, team defense, or individual defensive player. This would be, for example, if we increase our roster to 24, do we keep 14? So it'd be a plus 4. If we do 25, plus 5. If we do 26, plus 6. And again, those, whatever we add that to, would have to be, again, either a kicker, team defense, or individual defensive player. So again, you have 10 spots to pick whatever you want. You can have all 10 of his offensive individual players, quarterbacks, running backs, tight end, receiver, whatever. But those the pluses have to be any combination of kicker, team defense, and individual defensive player. Again, this is 8 on 8 to add defensive positions to our starting lineup. All right. Next up, we have category 4. This is called from 4 to 2. This is kind of a layered vote, but this is a little bit different one. They kind of go together, but they can all be individual. So we're actually going to vote on these as individual, but they're going to be done in a certain order to vote because if they're not done, if we just do them in general, I think it gets mishmashed, and I don't think people take the context. So that's why it has to be done a certain way. So this one was brought up to me actually a couple of weeks ago by a couple individuals, and really talked it out. That's why this isn't. I had to really get this one figured out. So, first part of this would be to change the league from our current 4-division format. So 4 divisions with 4 teams to 2 divisions with 8 teams. The division winners who currently each win $20 for winning their division. The division winners would then increase to $40 for the division title. The idea is this would eliminate weaker division winners. For example, sometimes we have a team that might not be as great. Like, for example, they might actually struggle in one of the better divisions. So this will eliminate maybe weaker division teams. So this would put stronger overall teams in the playoff. So this is a simple yes or no vote. So we'll vote on this yes or no. Once we do that, we go to part 2. Again, regardless if that was even a no, we would still go to part 2. The second part is to change the playoff system. We currently have a bracket system. So it sets up. So the number 1 seed is, we have 7 teams in our playoff. Number 1 seed's at the top, gets a bye. 2 and 3 seed are on the bottom, and then they play 7 and 6. And then the 4th division winner would play the 5th ranked team. And then the winner of the 4-5 matchup plays the first place team, and then the winner of the 2 bottom ones would play each other. What the suggestion was to eliminate the bracketing and go to a reseeding, which is actually what the NFL does now. So currently we're more of I think a basketball hockey bracket tournament style, where this would take us more to the NFL where there is a reseeding. What that means is uh, in the current format with 7 teams, there's a team with a bye. That team would then not play the winner of the 4-5 matchup. They would play whoever the lowest seed to advance in the second round. This really only impacts the second round. Um, but for example, if your 2 seed was to lose to the seventh seed would then play the number 1 seed, as opposed to playing the either 3 or the 6. So simple. Either the question is going to be either bracket or reseeding. Um, Third part of this is going to be um, adding an additional team to the playoff system that we choose, which would take us from 7 to 8. Um, this would mean no first round bye for the first seed. This would be more like the NBA tournament where all 8 teams play each other. And this could still be, regardless if we choose the bracket or reseeding, it doesn't matter, and this wouldn't affect it either way. So simply on this one, you're going to either say leave 7, or we want 7 teams, or we want 8 teams. And then the final, well, not I guess the fourth part of this is if passed, if the 2 division part is passed. So I guess this is the only part that's actually relevant to the start of this. If the 2 division is passed, we have to figure out how we want to decide the new divisional placement. Options are we could do a drawing. We could combine 2 divisions and then figure out which divisions we want to combine. Also, we could do each team picks their own division based on league seniority, but previous champions would get first selection. And that would go, for example, also based on number of championships. So, for example, Ritz has 3. He would get to pick first which division he wants to be in. And then you combine Tony and Anthony each have 2. Tony's been in the league, I'm sorry, Anthony's been in the league a little bit longer than Tony. So then Anthony would get the second pick. Tony would get the third pick. And then Rich would get the fourth and JB the fifth. Those are only division champions that are league champions that are still in the league. And then everything else will be based off seniority. So that's that. So that's the whole from 4 to 2. And all of you will get a copy of this. I'll send an email out before the meeting, or if you attend it in person, you'll have a copy. Fifth one is a scoring change request. This one is quarterback sacks. So this would change the current quarterback sack amount that affects your quarterback, not the defensive player. So if your quarterback gets sacked, he gets hit with a negative 20 points. This is a simple yes or no vote. If we vote yes on this, and we say, yep, let's lower the amount of negative points towards the quarterback, then we have to figure out the new amount, what we want to set that number at. Category 6 is a scoring change request. Also, this is to look at all categories to have less points. This would change every stat line to have less points if passed. Simple yes or no vote. And then if it is passed, then we would go into the actual scoring system and go category by category. And then there's section 7. If that was to still be a no, if that one is voted as a no, then we go into category 7, which is scoring system lookover. This one is brought up. This is not even brought up. This is just something I bring up every year at the end of our voting section. It is to just say if there's anyone else says, hey, let's look at individual categories. Let's look at running back yards. Let's look at defensive tackles or defensive player tackles. or whatever, if there's a specific category someone wants to look at, we can do it in that option. Or typically over the last several years, we've actually not even gone into it. So, and the cool thing about doing it is we can actually look at how changing those points would have affected our 2025 season. Um, it'll actually recalculate everything. Takes a few minutes, but it'll recalculate every game. So, for example, let's say we go back up to the quarterback sack one. If we take that, reduce the amount, whatever we reduce it to, let's say we even just cut it in half, -10, I'd go back through, set it at -10, and then it would actually recalculate our entire season. And it would change everyone's quarterback points. And you'll actually see, you could possibly see some results change. Um, so we always, like I said, that one is, we do it out regardless. It's always brought up. Just we haven't actually touched anything in several years. About probably 3 or 4 years we haven't touched a point. And then the final one is the open forum trade ideas. This is just simply going around the room. And if there's any ideas that someone came up with. So if these, if they were to come up, these don't actually go in effect until 2027. Something we voted on years ago. But we can also, this way we can also re-examine them at 2027. However, we can discuss if there's a category, and we've done this in the past, if we say, hey, we want this to take effect in 2026, we want this now, and then the group has to agree to that, to say, yep, let's do it now. And then that's it. Then again, we'll open up the trade season will get opened, phase one. Um, and then we'll just simply close out the meeting, have an open forum, close out the meeting, and that's our 2026 league meeting. So, again, thank you for watching this. Looking forward to seeing whoever's here. Looking forward to passing out some awards, handing out some belts. Um, from my understanding, both our league champion and our 2024 league champion and best of rest winner, I believe, will both be here, which is important because they have the belts. And more importantly, in this little envelope right here is the new nameplates that will go on it, which will actually have their names on it, because their belts currently don't have the 2024 winner names on it. So I have the 2020, because I do them in every other year, it gets added. And then it'll have the 2024 and 2025 on it. And it'll actually close out that whole right side of the belt, because that'd be the first 12 winners, because we're starting our 13th season. And then in season 14, after 14 is decided, then we'll start the other side of the belt. So thank you for watching. Again, looking forward to seeing all of you. Everyone's welcome. We'll say after 3:30, about I'd say a little after, quarter after, about 5:45 is when probably the commissioner's entrance will start. This year it's going to be a good one. I think those of you that are going to be in attendance are going to really like it. And maybe I'll create like I did last year before, as I go get ready for the meeting. Maybe we'll throw a special stream on, just have it on there so you guys can see me come out. I know there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. Of course, remember there is no draft lottery anymore. Um, you know, there was a conspiracy against getting rid of that. Um, and I know a lot of people thought it was going to come up again, um, but not for 2026 vote. So maybe 2027. Who knows? For those that want it back, I will miss it. If we have a moment of silence actually for the draft lottery, it'd be appreciated. Moment of silence for the draft lottery. Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed the stream. And we will see you again. Sorry, I'm trying to close this out. We will see you again real soon. Again, we'll see you on March 21st at 6 p.m. is the start. For those in attendance, please be here by 5:45 so you can see possibly one of the greatest entrances of all time. Actually, this will be the best entrance yet. I promise that. It will turn some heads. So, thank you, and we'll see you on the 21st. Bye bye.